Take refuge in the luminous mind, the clarity of wisdom, and the warmth of compassion. Someone asked me to speak a little bit about my own history of practice. I began practicing in 1968 for probably the same reasons everybody else does, of dukkha, of suffering, of wanting to know what to do with my life as a young person, of what's this life all about. And I had the good fortune to encounter a healthy community and an inspiring teacher. And the inspiring teacher, Roshi Philip Kapleau, really said, awakening is possible. It is possible to see something that is fundamental and liberating. I liked hearing that. I also had the fortune of, from my vantage point, being in a very healthy community with lots of other interesting people. It had a good ethical foundation to it. And so, as a young person, that felt very like a healthy family. So, partly I started practicing because it was a healthy family that had enough common denominator with my family of origin that I felt comfortable, and yet it was inspiring for something beyond that. Practice, I find, and I have found over the years, for me has always been hard. It's not an easy matter. To do retreat after retreat, to do session after session, to look at the nature of mind, to face one's own challenges and difficulties of one's own body and one's own circumstance is not easy. But I had, certainly in the early days, the confidence that looking into following this path was a path to liberation. And that's how I regarded awakening in those days, as liberation. I wanted to be free. So each time I would do something stupid, something unskillful, each time I would run into problems of what to do with my life, how to earn a living, what happened to relationship, well, all the usual things. In my case, I had the deep conviction that freedom was possible. Liberation was possible. Liberation is possible. Now, for many of those years, I felt I was too broken to actually understand that. But, you know, at the core, there is still this belief, this hope for me. So one of the ways I manifested that is I just kept going to retreats. I kept having the good fortune of encountering good teachers. Teachers that inspired me. Teachers that helped me feel that liberation was possible even for me. Regardless of how broken or depressed or unhappy I was, the great masters, all the great stories of spiritual adepts, my own teachers, and I've had several teachers, all of whom kept saying over and over and over, liberation is possible. And then as I have been practicing more and more, and you see the true nature of life, that we were never bound in the first place, that liberation not only is something possible, but it's something that is. So in the early days, of course, there's always the feeling of a carrot. I will practice and get some experience, get some understanding, get some awakening. But as you practice more and more, you realize, oh, it is right here, right now, the very nature of mind, the very nature of awareness itself, which is not personal, and yet includes the person. So somehow in these religious traditions, some people have the good fortune of having a deep, sudden insight into the nature of things, and then they have a long time of trying to actually work out how to live in accordance with that truth. And some of us have a long, drawn-out, slow, challenging time to realize what's always present. And then, at some point, in one's spiritual practice, we all have to reach out and help others. Spiritual practice is not about just me. It's not about I, me, and my. It's not about I will get better. At some point, any insight that we have, any wisdom we have, no matter how small, no matter how inadequate, no matter how broken we feel, has to be turned outward, has to be given life, has to be offered, whatever way we can offer it to other people. And in that offering, it becomes alive. In that offering, you begin to realize that self and other are not two, that everything inside is the same, everything outside. And so at that point, when you begin to actually make an offering of your life, an offering of your wisdom, you have to have a way of doing that. You have to have a container. And so then supporting the particular container, supporting the particular way that you do that becomes your practice, becomes your engagement with others, becomes the expression of your own wisdom, your own life. And that's what I feel keeps me going. That the nature of mind is infinite. And so I'm intrigued. Right now I'm intrigued. Watching, where are these words coming from? Right now I'm curious. What is it that's aware as I'm talking right here? Right now I'm curious in the middle of the night. Is there separation? What makes me think there is anything separation? Right now, at this moment, I think, is there suffering? Well, what is that nature of that? Right now, in this moment, I look and say, what is it that's aware of awareness? I reflect often on all things have to be aware of themselves because there is no self to be aware of them. And so I look into that. And so for me at this point, these curious questions about the fundamental nature of reality are intriguing. And I also feel lead to liberation. And I also feel if I can inspire other people to look into their own nature, that's part of what I'm called to do. So I'm just doing whatever I happen to be called to do. And I hope you will do whatever you're called to do. And mine happens to take this particular, peculiar way. But then again, from our individual perspective, all of our lives take a particular, peculiar way. So may you enjoy the particular, peculiar way your life unfolds, and may you see it deeply, and may you offer it fully.